Senator Jeff Merkley, thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time today. I know it's a kind of a busy day, and there's so much to talk about connected to the pandemic. But the first thing I'd like to talk about is getting your take on President Trump admitting he fired the Inspector General investigating Secretary of State Mike Pompeo after Pompeo asked Trump to fire him. So what's your whole take on all of that?
Well, it's pretty outrageous to have 4 inspector generals fired within a short period of time. And the basic message from President Trump is he doesn't want oversight from Congress, and he doesn't want oversight from whistleblowers, or the third factor, from inspector generals whose very role is to make sure that the government is abiding by the law. And so this was very, very disturbing situation. I don't know, I wish Congress had a magical way to reach out and say, our Constitution is about checks and balances. It is about oversight. It is about making sure that the law is followed and that funds are expended in a proper manner and that ethical rules are not broken. The president's undermining all of that.
We could talk more about that, but we have limited time, so I'd like to move on to the coronavirus pandemic. And I know a lot of people these days are wearing a face mask when they go out, except, of course, President Trump. And that kind of makes facial recognition a little bit more difficult. I know that you and Senator Cory Booker sent a letter to a company called Clear expressing your concerns for how their new product might be a threat to privacy. Can you explain that issue a little bit, and what do you think is going on?
You bet. I'm very concerned about these massive databases of faces and use of facial recognition to basically track Americans everywhere they go. Whether it's done by the government or it's done by private industry, it really completely compromises the sense of any sort of privacy. And we already know that one facial recognition company has had a massive data breach and lost a huge amount of information that shouldn't be lost. And the path that this company is paving, Clear, is to be able to have companies basically have a camera at the door and by facial recognition decide to let you in or not let you in. And that's, no, this is no longer science fiction. It is here, and it overreaches and impinges on our privacy, and we need to slow this way down.
And I know you just sent the letter the other day. Have you heard back from them at all yet?
We have not heard back yet.
All right. Let's talk about the coronavirus relief package that's been moving through the House and the Senate. We talked about this a little bit last week. Will it include money for the state and local governments?
Yes. So the HEROES bill that the House has passed has $375 billion for local government, $500 billion for state governments, 20 for tribes, and 20 for our territories. In other words, it's saying that the essential services of local government really matter: on healthcare, on housing, on education, on jobs, on public safety. And unfortunately, that message has not been received well by the majority leader of the Senate, who said there's nothing urgent and we should just let the local governments go bankrupt. Well, I couldn't disagree more. I think that the local government is close to the people, provides critical services, and we need to support those programs. And so we're going to be fighting very hard to get something very similar to what the House has passed into the Senate bill.
Is there a time frame on that at all that you can tell?
Well, the other piece on the time frame is that the message from the House and from everyone I hear from in Oregon is that we're in a very urgent situation, both with the disease and with the economic implosion. I mean, who can believe that 36 million Americans have lost their jobs in 7 weeks? Every time I say that, I just have to hesitate. It's just, am I saying that right? Is it only 3 million, which seems like a lot? No, 36 million people. And so there's a great urgency to this, but the majority leader has said there's no urgency. He couldn't be more wrong.
Okay, we have a limited time left, and I have 2 related final campaign questions for you. Yesterday we had the Oregon primary, and you garnered an astounding 99% of the Democratic primary vote, and you're going to take on Jo Rae Perkins. Now, the Washington Post today reports that she supports QAnon, the far-right conspiracy theory that supports President Trump. So my 2 campaign questions for you, Senator, are: what's your take on that, and what kind of a campaign do you expect between now and November?
Well, I have no comment on my potential Republican opponent and the conspiracy theses. What I will say is that what we have to do in America is restore our institutions and take the fundamental issues affecting the people on healthcare, on housing, on education, on jobs, certainly on the infrastructure of this country. And we need to take on climate chaos and all of the damage it's doing to our economy and to our resources, to our people. So those will be fundamental issues that I'll continue to talk about as I represent Oregon now and as I put myself forward for another term in the Senate.
What kind of a campaign do you? What does the campaign look like? Will it be virtual? Do you think, or will there be some handshaking? What's going on?
I sure wish it could involve a lot more personal contact. Maybe that'll be possible with the progress we're making before November. But I'm dreading the possibility of many hours a day in Zoom rooms.
Well, Senator, thanks for giving us about 6 or 7 minutes of your time today in a Zoom room. I appreciate that. Please stay healthy. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Tim.